aspects. The Director General of SIGA, Mr. Stephen Asamoah Boateng, said his outfit seeks to facilitate performance management in state-owned enterprises and other prescribed bodies within the framework of government policies to ensure that they operate efficiently, effectively and profitably.
SIGA seeks to facilitate performance management in SOEs in particular and other prescribed bodies within the framework of government policy to ensure that they operate efficiently, effectively and profitably, thereby contributing towards the socio-economic development of Ghana.
The Chief of Staff, Madam Akosia Fremo-Seipare, noted that government expects enhanced corporate governance practices and effective institutional management in their various institutions.
His Excellency the President reposes trust in you and would like me to tell you that you are the key to the Ghana Beyond Aid agenda. Let us do away with all ill feelings and misunderstandings that have the tendency to disrupt the performance of your respective agencies and give room for cooperation, teamwork, and prudent management.
The over 300 participants will deliberate on topics such as implementing energy efficiency in specified entities, Ghana Cybersecurity Act 2020, its implications and the role of state entities and strategic government communication, among others. The Director General of GBC, Professor Amin Al-Hassan, is also expected to speak on pitching success stories of GBC. Some of the participants shared their views with GBC News.
This is a very useful retreat. It would help every state institution and its top management to understand the key role, their respective key roles they have to play in ensuring that we truly get there in terms of the Ghana Beyond Aid agenda.
Relying on aid, either totally or partially, has not been helpful to Ghana and, for that matter, Africa. Because beside the aid or behind the aid is tied to conditions. And most of the conditions in the years have not been helpful.
This is a retreat to also think through how to achieve the vision of the president and also how to achieve the vision of the various individual organizations working under SIGA.
Research findings on governing climate mobility to improve livelihoods in areas affected by climate change has been launched in Accra. At the meeting, the Ministry of Agriculture was tasked to strengthen the ability of farmers to adapt to climate mobility systems and smart agriculture methods to safeguard farmlands and turn them into agro-friendly vegetation.
In the last few years, climate change in Ghana has influenced rain patterns and change in the composition and structure of cropping activities. These have contributed to the reduction of crop yields and incomes of farmers. Research revealed that the government's One Village, One Dam initiative was supportive to farmers, especially those in the northern belt. However, a chunk of farmers in other areas suffered losses. Therefore, interventions such as reforms in water management policies would be needed to expand irrigation to deal with climate change. The findings also highlighted the fact that land ownership is based on inheritance, and as such, most farmers rent the lands they farm due to climate mobility. A crop farmer at Community 3, Jatabu in the Tema West municipality, Mr. Madi Bukari, spoke about the effect of climate change on their crops and livestock.
You farmer, you get strong to work, but you don't get the water, you don't get money to buy the pump machine, you don't get money to buy the pipeline. Then, for that means we are down.
The Director for Center for Migration at the University of Ghana, Professor Joseph Tay, appealed to the government to work together with the chiefs to help farmers whose crops have been destroyed relocate to new locations where the lands are virgin to enable them adapt to the changing planting seasons.
We also need to facilitate what we call plant migration. There are areas in the forest zone where we have a lot of land. there is nothing that stops people from being encouraged to move to those areas. The government will have to take active role in promoting this, negotiating with chiefs of those destination areas, and also providing information to people who are in areas that are facing climate change, so that they know where to go to.
A senior researcher and program coordinator at the Danish Institute for International Studies, Mr. Neil Webster, said climate change is a global problem, hence the need to strengthen collective partnerships across Africa. The research work was put together by stakeholders from Ethiopia, Denmark and Ghana.
Residents of Dalon in the Kumbungu district of the northern region say the poor state of the Botanga Dalon Nawuni Road is affecting socio-economic activities in the area, adding that dry Harmattan winds will soon create a dusty atmosphere in the community. They have petitioned President Akufo-Addo to intervene and help get the contractor working on that stretch back to site to complete the job.
The 10-kilometer Bontanga Dalong Nawuni Road was awarded on contract in 2016. Residents say the contractor abandoned the project, resurfaced shortly before the 2020 elections, and has since abandoned the project for the second time. Hundreds of residents of Dalong and surrounding communities took to the streets to register their displeasure over the poor state of the road. In a petition to the president through the Kumbungu District Assembly, they said the state of the road is affecting socio-economic activities in the area. The chairman of the Dakon Youth Association, Mr. Mahama Safianu, hoped their petition would get the needed attention of the authorities and get the contractor to complete the project.
We therefore call on you to, as a matter of urgency, return the contractor to work on the construction of on the fulfillment of the numerous pledges made by your government to the chiefs and people of the area. His Excellency the Vice President himself made the promise to get the road fixed, and we want to remind him to fulfill that promise. We deserve a good road to provide easy transportation of people, food, sea sand and chemicals.
Dalon is home to the treatment plant of the Ghana Water Company Limited, which supplies water to the Tamale metropolis and Sanerigu municipality. The community is also known for the production of vegetables, especially in the dry season.
Ghana's first ever cochlear implant surgery has been successfully performed on 3 patients at the Korle-Bu Teaching Hospital in Accra. The surgeries, which were undertaken by a combined medical team from Korle-Bu and the University of Alexandria, Egypt, has provided a sense of sound to these persons who were deaf or severely hard of hearing. A report by Ofrewa Dakun.
When a child is born with a hearing loss, health experts say it could possibly be due to either genetic syndromes, infections, or complications during pregnancy or birth. Yet, it could be treated successfully with a cochlear implant surgery. Being the first of its kind in Ghana, 3 patients aged 2, 4 and 5 have benefited from the surgery. The head of the New Allied Surgery and Ear, Nose and Throat Department at Korle-Bu, Dr. Kenneth Baidu, said the patients are responding to treatment.
We are keeping them to make sure their wounds heal nicely. And then, like I said in my update, in about 6 weeks, we will now try and turn on the equipment, and then they will start their rehabilitation.
A thorough selection process of patients to undergo the surgery is done to find out if the hearing structure of the patients is in place, although it is not functioning. According to the regional manager of the Medel Hearing Implant Company in Austria, Mr. Mohammed Eldisoe, after the surgery, the implant is not noticeable to anyone and patients are provided with an audio processor, which is worn either on or off the ear.
We have already started in many countries in Africa and sub-Saharan Africa. English-speaking and French-speaking, I'm responsible only for the English-speaking part, and very soon we will be in many other countries.
A cochlear implant is a small, complex electronic device that can help provide a sense of sound to a person who is profoundly deaf or severely hard of hearing. The implant consists of an external portion that sits behind the ear and a second portion that is surgically placed under the skin. For GBC News, Ofriwa Dako reporting.
A former director of the Ghana Health Service, Professor Ajman Akosa, says the global COVID-19 pandemic has challenged healthcare delivery globally and has opened up the need for more investments, especially in infectious disease and public health administration. Professor Akosa said this at the 6th graduation of Ensign Global College, where 19 students graduated with masters in public health.
Primary health care has been the anchor of Ghana's health system, and as population increases and the disease burden doubles, it is imperative to improve investment in the sector to avert any mismatch. Health experts agree that for the community-based health planning and services policy to succeed, there is an urgent need for additional public health professionals. The need for public health professionals continue to be critical, especially when the world is suffering from a global pandemic, COVID-19. In a bid to ensure that high-level professionals are raised to deal with emerging public health issues, Ensign Global College has conferred master's degree in public health on 19 students after 2 years of studies at the college. The founder of Ensign College, Dr. Mrs. Lynette Gay, charged the students to put their knowledge into improving the health and well-being of Ghanaians. The president of Ensign Global College, Professor Stephen Alder, said the pandemic has challenged the ingenuity of humanity and there is the need to develop a robust public health care for all Ghanaians.
Go forth with courage, accept the call to tackle great challenges, and embrace the opportunity afforded by these challenges that will most surely come your way. Take what you have been given through your education at Ensign Global College and make the world a better, happier, healthier, and more prosperous place. Quite simply, be noble and great. I am confident that is exactly what you will do.
The co-founder of Accra College of Medicine, Professor Ifwahesi, urged the graduating students to help improve the health literacy rate of Ghanaians. A former Director General of the Ghana Health Service and Vice Board Chair of the college, Professor Ajman Akosa, said although some substantial investment has been made into public health, there is more to be achieved.
Health professionals, health and safety professionals, they are so important that every aspect of our lives we should have these professionals, doing the work in a very high professional standard.
Awards were given to graduates who excelled in their field of studies.
Sakbuli in the Savelugu municipality of the northern region was one of the largest slave markets in the 17th century. It was once a commercial hub that linked the north to the south for flourishing trade in slaves and cola nuts. Our northern regional correspondent walks us back in time for some history of the slave trade, a prominent remnant of which is the ancient baobab tree that once stood in the largest slave market in Dagbang. Many say the area must be developed into a tourist site to preserve the heritage for future generations and also generate revenue for development.
7 kilometers off the Tamale-Bolgatanga Road at Disiga is Sakbuli. The Sakbuli slave site is an 18th century slave market. During the transatlantic slave trade, there were only 4 slave towns in Dagbon, namely Karaga, Savelugu, Yendi, and Sakbuli. Sakbuli was the biggest center where slaves were bought, sold, and transported to the coast for export. Slaves from the markets were often exchanged for kola nuts, cowries, and gold. We first stopped at the Sakbuli slave well. Mr. Hassan Bako, our tour guide, is rich in the history of Sakbuli slave trade.
At the time, Sakbuli was 4 communities which is very large. That is Karga, Savelugu, Yendi, and Sakbuli. Because of the biggest, that's why they bring the market to Sakbuli. When they are to catch the slaves. They will just gather with some people, attack some village. When they succeed, then they will make the selections, those who are healthy, and come to the market for sale.
Mr. Baku said the slaves drank and took their baths prior to being transported to the slave market for sale.
The time that they are catching them, they are dying because of this. And they think, those who are catching them think that let's look around to see where we can get the wells for the water to store for them to drink. They dig it more than 20 wells. When you enter this well, you can go to the next one.
It was surprising to learn that apart from forcibly attacking villages for slaves, many families also sold their healthy children to make some money to cater for their large families. We headed to the slave market, the largest in Dagbon at the time. At the heart of the community stands an ancient baobab tree, the converging point for the Sakpali slave markets. Slaves were chained to the root of the tree until they were sold to merchants and traders. Today, the tree and sign mark one of several slave sites in the history of Ghana's slave trade. What is also significant about the baobab tree in the slave market is that two of the sprawling roots have one hole each in them. We are made to believe that these holes were used by the slave dealers as receptacles for cowrie shells. This is a local mausoleum built by the community to preserve some of the remnants of the slave trade. These dug-out artifacts confirm the existence of the slave market. There are earthenware bowls weighing cowries, tobacco pipes, chains, among others.
What is it used for? What was it?
That is their bowl.
The slave bowl?
Yeah, that they used to eat. Put food inside. 10, 15 people will
gather around it
to chain them.
After over 500 years following Sakpali slave trade, the community has tried to protect the remains of the slave trade. However, time and age are fast catching up. Mr. Al-Hassan said the Ghana Tourism Authority, organizations and individuals have visited the community and promised to help develop the area for tourism purposes, but this has not happened yet. The chief of Sakpali, Abubakar Al-Hassan, was not happy about how the site has been deserted, though it is one of Ghana's heritage sites. The slave market at Sakpali is virtually intact except for the artifacts retrieved from the sites that are losing their relevance and the mud hut that houses those remains. The baobab tree at the slave market is significant in terms of the images and memories that it evokes, as well as the present ritual performance that occur under it.
Government has allocated $74 million for the building of 30,000 household toilets for the Greater Kumasi metropolitan area, and 120 disabilities-friendly, fit-for-all-purpose institutional toilets have also been provided for schools and other institutions. The Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources, Madam Cecilia Dapa, made this known at an event to mark World Toilet Day in Kumasi.
The World Toilet Day, among other things, seeks to create awareness of the 3.6 billion vulnerable people in the world who do not have access to decent toilet facilities, as well as help achieve the Sustainable Development Goal 6, which promises sanitation for all by 2030. Marking the day in Kumasi, in the Ashanti region, it was disclosed that 8 metropolitan and municipal assemblies are to benefit from 30,000 household toilet and 10,000 water connections under the Greater Kumasi Water and Sanitation Project. These are the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly, Asokwa, Oforikrum, Old Tafu, Kwadaso, Asokori Mampon, Swame and Nejosu municipalities. The Ashanti Regional Minister, Mr. Simon Osei Mensah, implored all to individually and collectively commit to deepen awareness and promote sanitation and hygiene practices in the metropolis.
Metropolitan, Municipal and District Interagency Coordinating Committee on Sanitation, put in place by the assemblies as part of efforts to consolidate the gains made in the promotion of sanitation and hygiene, is undoubtedly one big initiative that will complement the implementation of sanitation-related programs outlined under the Greater Kumasi Area Sanitation and Water Project.
A representative of the World Bank, Mr. Harold Esiku, said sanitation is dignity, hence the need for all stakeholders to help ensure that every household in Ghana has access to a decent and sustainable toilet. A former Vice-Chancellor of the University of Energy and Natural Resources, Professor Esiwa, noted that a good toilet facility could help improve the health of the people. It is therefore imperative to value and appreciate a decent toilet. The Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources, Madam Cecilia Dapa, said as a nation, there's the need to pay critical attention to issues of sanitation and commit to finding solutions to the challenges.
It is gratifying to know that the story is changing and access to safely managed toilets in Ghana is improving, though at a slow pace. Presently, about 84% of the Ghanaian population have access to safely managed toilets. However, only 1/3 have access to flush toilets. Poor sanitation is linked to transmission of diseases such as cholera, diarrhea, dysentery, hepatitis A, typhoid, and exacerbates stunting.
Each of the beneficiary assemblies received a pickup and 2 motorbikes for the purposes of education and sustainable implementation of the project.
As part of activities to mark World Toilet Day, the Waste Segregation and Composition Movement, in collaboration with Say No to Single-Use Plastics, have embarked on a tree planting exercise at the premises of GBC. The exercise brought together various organizations to plant trees.
World Toilet Day is an official United Nations International Observance Day to inspire action to tackle the global sanitation crisis. The day is used to inform, engage and inspire people to take action towards achieving this goal. Representatives from GBC, government, local assemblies, faith-based organizations, embassies and universities planted trees at the premises of GBC.
That will sustain and preserve nature. Thank you very much.
The Chief Executive for Waste Segregation and Composition Movement, Mr. Malik Irera, says the tree planting exercise is a campaign to remind everyone to keep the environment clean.
This is supposed to go to the landfill. Everything you are seeing here, the soil is from the food waste, and then this seed is from the pear sellers at Accra Technical University. So if every student plant one, we can have about 500,000 seedlings, so that by June next year, we can plant more seedlings out of it. So this is the reason why we are planting on the World Toilet Day, to remind everyone not to just throw anything anyhow.
A representative of the Association of Spouses of Heads of Mission, Madame Rachel Andrews, says it is important to take good care of our environment. She encouraged every household to own a toilet.
Toilets are such an important part of our everyday life that we take for granted, so plant a tree, say no to single-use plastics, support toilets, and thank you very much, Ghana.
Ghana is ranked second in the world engaged in open defecation. The UN General Assembly declared World Toilet Day an official UN day in 2013 after Singapore had tabled the resolution before the UN's General Assembly of 193 member states.
If you missed some of the past week's major stories, here is an opportunity to catch up in pictures. Still watching News Live on GBC News and GTV. We're taking a short break. We'll be back with the international news segments. Please don't go away.
Good morning.
It's a good morning and we serve you breakfast.
Not just any breakfast.
Sizzling healthy.
A la carte. And there's much more on offer on GTV Breakfast.
So what's your pleasure than Votras here at that time of the morning?
You want to have buffet style complimentary breakfast?
On-site restaurant.
Or room service.
We've got you covered.
From Monday to Friday at 6 a.m.
With a trusted team.
So never skip breakfast.
On GTV Breakfast.
It is a nightmare dealing with the
Thank you very much for staying on. The Conference of Heads of Assisted Secondary School CHAS believes prohibiting corporal punishment in schools has emboldened students to misbehave towards teachers and flout school rules. The Ghana Education Service has banned any form of corporal punishment in all primary and secondary schools countrywide. The GES wants teachers to use alternative sanctions to correct students. The leadership of CHAS made the assertion at the 59th annual CHAS conference in Bolgatanga in the Upper East region. The conference had the theme, Discipline in Our Schools and Child Right, the Fate of the School Head.
Charles bases its call on the recent cases of indiscipline among students in some senior high schools across the country. In 2017, the Ghana Education Service banned corporal punishment in schools to promote the right of school children. In Bogatanga, the Upper East region, at the 59th Annual Conference of Charles, the president of Charles, Alhaji Yakub A.B. Abubakar, said issues of child rights and banning of corporal punishment had boarding students, especially those in SHS, to misbehave and break school rules and regulations with impunity. He said Charles was not against the banning of corporal punishment and the promotion of child rights, particularly among school children, but was expecting appropriate measures to ensure discipline, compliance and respect for authority. Alhaji Abubakar explained that the situation of student indiscipline was further compounded by child rights activists without considering what was needed to ensure responsible growth and development.
We are, however, calling on stakeholders to look at the issue of discipline in our school with the view to addressing the challenges enumerated above to ensure complete and effective education in our schools.
The Vice-Chancellor of C.K. Tidam University of Technology and Applied Science, Professor Eric Romot, who spoke on the theme of the conference, charged heads of senior high schools to involve students in the management of their institutions. He said this will help to minimize or eliminate the high level of indiscipline in schools.
As school heads, I want you to start thinking about this. Supervise, ensure that the activities that are going on in your classrooms are enjoyable and well. Students will become committed to your school if they enjoy the activities and they see that they are profitable to them. But secondly, as part of your administration, please broaden the management of the school and bring students into the center. Let students be part of the managers.
The Deputy Minister for Education, Reverend John Ntim-Fojo, commended Charles for supporting the successful implementation of government's free SHS policy. He said the government will ensure that all their needs are catered for to enable them to perform their duties.
And the Conference of Heads of Assisted Secondary School Charles remains in a dilemma of spare the rod and spoil the child. They describe as unfortunate how some child rights activists are muddying the waters with no consideration about the negative effects of the future of these children and the country's educational systems.
Charles says while they fully support the implementation of the free SHS, government and the Ghana Education Service should look at the release of funds to schools, supply of food to schools, and provision of school furniture. Charles says prompt release of these will help to make the free SHS a success. They say while they recognize the supply of some pickups and buses to some SHS, they observed that the pickups were given generally to 2 regions in the country, while all the others are still waiting for almost 1 year. Charles also says the buses were also limited to some schools in the country, while majority of the schools have not received any yet. Charles President Alhaji Yakub A.B. Abubakar said maintaining discipline in the various second cycle institutions across the country is a shared responsibility.
What can we do about the numbers? These are issues we can discuss as stakeholders so that we arrive at some conclusions that together it will belong to us and we'll be able to implement to curb, if not eliminate completely, the level of this indiscipline that we're observing at the school level now.
Head teachers were charged to instill in their students the right values for them to become patriotic citizens in future.
Now some international news. Sudan